Last week, we started out the Christmas season with Santa Claus, and this week we are doing Mrs. Claus. Welcome to Superhuman Customs. I'm your host, Stephen Human, and I got this cyclone figure specifically to make her Mrs. Claus. So I think she's gonna look great. Her outfit is perfect with little tassels and stuff. We're gonna paint her red. We're gonna do a lot of the same things we did with last week's Santa Claus. So she's gonna be a more modern version of the character, something a little bit more fun that can fit into my short stories, my novellas for the Santa Squad. So let's get moving. First thing I wanna do with Mrs. Claus is the hair. That was what made me want to make that Jason Momoa Witcher a Santa Claus. And so I wanted to do the same thing here. I wanted to start out with the white. And when you do it, you want to keep the textures in there so that it's not just all white, but that it's got some life to it. So you don't want to do too much. You want to get enough that it goes on, but then you want to leave it so that you can still see some of the interior color. And so that's what I'm going to do. Just going to get her all taken care of in the hair department. What I'm doing now is I'm taking a little bit of black wash and I'm going to go over the top of it. And this is going to give a couple different shades. It'll darken up what's underneath, and then I can dry brush over the top of the white and it will give me a nice tone. So I did the white over the top. Now I'll do this, and then I'll do dry brush white over the top, and that will get me what I want. We're going to do the same thing with Mrs. Claus that we did with Santa Claus, where we're going to do a base red on everything. What we're going to do here is I'm going to make it so that it looks more like armor. So it is going to be, I'm debating on whether to make it red or white, but I think I'm going to make it red, and that way I can do the same stuff with the metallic that I did with Santa and have it stand out a little bit differently. So I'm not going to paint it red just yet because I'm still debating, but I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I'm just going to go over with a nice red over all of this and get her so that she is in her Christmas colors. So just finished the second coat of white on her hair, and I have some white left over. And what I decided to do is that she has like these little purple something right here, shoulder pads. And that's what I'm going to make white here. So the rest of it will be red, and we'll make it so that it's metallic and armored so that it stands out against everything else. But this will be the splash of white that I think that she needs, so that'll be perfect. I'm going to use a slightly different red for the armor here and for the legs, just like we did with the Santa Claus, so that it'll just have a different look. Now obviously a lot of this is going to require a second coat, so I'm just going to move it around and get it covered. And then we'll put a second coat on once it's done. We're going to do the same thing that we did where we add the model air red over the top that fills in a lot of the gaps in the paint. And we'll be making this metallic as well. So this one will look pretty cool once we're done. But for right now, it's going to look a little streaky, and that's okay. So I started painting her pants red, as you can see, and then realized as I stepped back that it was too red, and that Mrs. Claus did not need to be all red like Santa Claus. And so we are going to paint over what I painted really quickly with the red, what I was going on. And we are going to have her pants be a dark green. So that's what I'm going to do here, is we're just going to go over the bit of red and make her so that she has green pants, which will make her stand out against Santa Claus, obviously. And it will give her a unique look, but it's still Christmas, so I think it'll look really, really nice. Before we move on to anything metallic, I'm gonna do our model air red over the top. So we'll fill in all the gaps, make it look really good. Then we can do metallic on the armor here and move on to some more of the details. After painting her pants green, I noticed that there's actually a slight difference in texture between the side here and the rest. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some metallic green. I'm just going to go over the top of it nice and light on this section and on the knees to give the pants a different tone, which I think it'll make it look, just more unique. The time has come to metallic up this breastplate. So I'm going to just go around with the metallic paint, as always. Move it around so that it's not too thick anywhere. And then we will see what we got. It's definitely going to change the color and make it stand out even slightly, which is what it definitely needs right now. It needs to stand out. Now I'm going to paint this silver so that it matches Santa's. And then once that's dry, I'm going to do just a light coating of the silver over all of this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of brown wash and I'm going to just add some into some of these crevices here, just to make the folds and stuff stand out. And we'll see if it's enough. I think it's going to be enough. I won't have to go to the black, but we will find out together. Now that I have her painted, there's a couple of things that I wanted to do to just make her look cooler. So we're going to add this belt and we're going to glue it in place and kind of have it be across here. And then we're going to add some weapons to it like this. And then what I'm going to do, I keep looking at her, and with these shoulder pad things, it makes her look like she's wearing a Starfleet uniform from the original Star Trek movies, right? Like Star Trek 2. And I don't like that. But I've got this, which I took off of a figure that I'm using for parts. And they actually has like a little indentation in here, and it fits perfectly on her shoulder. And if I cut it, it looks like she's got fur. And so we can paint that white and that will add something. So I'm going to cut these off, we'll glue them in place. And then I think that will make her match more of what we've got on our Santa Claus. So let's do that. So now I've got some gray, and I'm going to do a base coat on these fluffs of gray. And then we'll go white over the top, and that way it'll give us a couple of tones, which will look much better. Maybe I'll even darken it in a little bit with some wash. We'll see once this is dry. So I cut a little piece out of this cape here and painted it brown, and I'm going to turn it into a strap here to go over the knives that I've glued in place. I think that's going to look really cool, and it will make it look a little bit more natural since she would have something holding them in place. So that's what I'm going to do here. Get it glued on, and she's going to look extra cool. Now, one of the last things I'm going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to hit the fluff here. Just got a little bit of paint on the brush, just enough to kind of hit the edges, because we want this to look like real fur. We don't want it to be completely white. Do that with both sides. And then from there, we'll just kind of give one more glance over to see if we want to change anything, update anything. But I think we're in really good shape, and she's looking way better. I'm glad we added these extra things, because sometimes those last things you add go a long way toward making a character look fully what you envisioned. Going through and doing some details, I'm going to green up her laces just to make them stand out against the black. It's a simple thing, but it adds a little bit of detail. I mean, all of you know that at this point, doing these small little things really does make a character pop. And even though you don't notice them right off the bat, it still makes it look just cooler. And there's small details, and I'm probably using too big of a brush. I'm going to just admit that right now. So I'm going to have to paint a little bit more of the black around these. Whoops. Should have used a toothpick maybe. Oh well, we can fix it. I think the last detail we need to do is to turn her symbol to make it match Santa Claus's with some green shade, and make it so that it looks kind of like a Christmas tree. And I'm just using this green shade, and we'll get it so that it's got the Christmas tree in here, and then I think we will be done. And here we have Mrs. Claus. Merry Christmas, everybody. This was fun. The Santa Claus and the Mrs. Claus were not figures I ever thought that I would do. They weren't in my brain. And when I got the idea, I thought it was fun. I bought her specifically to be Mrs. Claus. And so now they're gonna look really cool on the shelf. And it's a fun piece to like have in front of the Christmas tree or whatever. But it's fun. Now you can see on her shoulders that last minute I cut out some thin strips from that same fur and glued it in place over the little white patches, and I think she looks way better. So I love how she turned out, and this is what it's all about, doing something cool like this. That's what this hobby is all about, is to have fun, to create things that are unexpected, that you put a little bit of time into, that you take a little bit of just I want to say whimsy. Like, is that too like fluffy a word? But it's like that's what I felt with this. Like going through and adding little straps and stuff on her belt with the blades, and that sort of stuff is fun, and it just adds little detail and makes the figures look cool. So do that stuff. Just take some risks, put yourself out there, have some fun with this hobby. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stephen Human. Check out StephenHumanAuthor.com. I am a novelist. I write sci-fi thrillers like Twilight Zone and Black Mirror. They're on Amazon as well and on Audible. So check them out, and I'll see you guys soon. Merry Christmas.